When I was in university, I started to go to church in my third year of university. Then I went overseas to Argentina to visit some relatives. The moment I got to Argentina, I started to feel really sick. I felt like my body was so heavy. Even when I woke up, I was so exhausted. And when I tried to walk, I felt like my legs, my arms, everything were made out of concrete. When I looked at the room, it felt like the room was spinning around me, and I felt so dizzy. When I looked at people, it felt like people were like wobbling. When I tried to read, it felt like the words on the page were also shaking everywhere as well. But when I went to the hospital, the doctor said there was a problem with my ears, but then it didn't explain why I was so exhausted. It didn't explain why I kept feeling anxious. And so they couldn't really treat the symptoms, and so I kept on being dizzy. I tried to go back to university, but after being at university for just 2 days, I still felt like I couldn't concentrate because the lecturer was wobbling. I felt so anxious in everything I did, and so I ended up moving back home to live with my parents. When I got home, I really couldn't do anything. Even when I tried to walk, it felt like the road was like a trampoline that just kept on like bouncing under my feet. And so I just sat in a chair all day and I just read books trying to find the answers to my life. I read about Buddhism, I read about Hinduism, I read about meditation, I read about any religion, any spiritual New Age religion that I could find. But in the end, there wasn't really anything that gave me answers. I told my Christian friends at Bible study and at church that I didn't understand why I was so sick like this. And they told me it was God's will for you to become this way. It was for God's glory that you got sick like this. But I really didn't understand. How could me being sick give glory to God? My Christian friends said, maybe if it's God's will, then you'll be sick for your entire life. And so when I heard them say these kind of things about God, then I started to really resent God. And I really wondered, why did God make me sick? Why did God not make someone else sick? And so I started to feel like more distant from God. But I still felt like God was my only hope. Suddenly my mom said that she was really sick of seeing me sitting at home all day, and she really wanted me to go out and do some work. And so she took me to her work, and then I went to the university that was next to her work, and I put up posters so that she could find research participants for her research. When I was at the university, someone who was studying Australian culture came up to me, and she started to talk to me about Australian culture. And we kept on talking, and it was really easy to talk to her. And so we got onto the topic of religion. She asked me if I was religious, and I said, until a few days ago, I was Christian, but I don't have any hope in Christianity anymore, so I'm going to become Buddhist. The lady I was talking to said she'd also felt the same way about Christianity, and so I felt empathy, sympathy from her. And then she told me about Pastor John. She said, I also felt the same way as you. I was Christian, but I felt like there were no answers in Christianity, and so I was going to become Buddhist. But then I met this man, and he teaches the Bible better than anybody that I've ever met. Suddenly I felt hope surging up inside me, and I thought I really want to learn these Bible studies. When I listened to these Bible studies, I started to find new hope in my life as well. Before, I felt like the medical system couldn't help me at all, and I didn't know how to get better. But Pastor Jong explained the idea of personal responsibility. No one had ever told me that the things in my life that went wrong could also be because of me. But Pastor Jong explained that actually that God has his responsibility, but man also has his own responsibility. When I listened to that sermon, actually it filled me with so much hope, because I realized that I was responsible for making myself sick, not God, because I knew that the way that I'd lived my life wasn't really that conducive to keeping healthy. I knew that I had to change my life, and that way I could become healthy as well. After listening to the Bible study and after exercising and eating healthily for 1 year, actually all of the dizziness went away, and I had the energy to be able to walk and to exercise again as well.